Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom's back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. There's a lot of things going on in Top Drives right now, and that's going to be a setting trend for the videos of this week, where there are all these new little implements and challenges and changes going on in the game, and updates and everything are actually good things, or if they're actually disrupting the peace of the players, if I may put it that way. One of these new things that are being introduced into the game is this super, the Irgp has been something that's been in the game for a while. Happens once a year, prizes are pretty good. But for the first time ever, we're actually forced to do 100 freaking races. I mean, honestly, 100 races, it seems like a lot, right? Because it is a lot. But let's be honest, okay? We've all competed in Tri-Series, and a lot of us, in a Tri-Series final have probably raced over 100 times anyway, or close to 100 times. But there is a difference of going to the Cheesecake Factory at your own will and ordering what you want from the menu, as opposed to going to the Cheesecake Factory and you are forced to eat what is given to you. And that's basically what this event feels like. You are forced to play. There's no fun in it. We're forced to do it. If not, we don't get rewarded for it, which is kind of stupid, to be honest, considering that this is a game. It's not a work. It's not a place of work. It's not a job for most of us. It is for me, but for most of you guys, we're playing this for fun. You know what I mean? Like, why are we being forced to do this? I don't understand. It's like if you played, I don't know, Rainbow Six Siege, for example, but in order to unlock one of the newer guns, you had to play 25 matches. It's dumb. But anyway, I digress. This event is live right now, and obviously with the corresponding event comes its pack, and obviously the pack that is in question are performance tires, right? So performance tires, estate, hatchbacks, and pickups/utes. It's a very, very, very big pack. There are over 100 cars in this, and so we're gonna get into this classic version of what can you get from that pack. As always, guys, Dirk Kaiser, Daily Driver, Frequent Provider, Pernicious Ulcer, and Hot Garbage. And before I get into this, I want to add one more disclaimer. When more and more cars get added to the game, cars get less useful. It just is what it is. I look at this pack and I just see cars where I know I own, and then it kind of just realizes, it kind of just hits me like an epiphany. Oh my god, I have this car, but when was the last freaking time I used it? And here's the thing, here's the disclaimer, right? I'm judging these cars based off my own experiences and based off my own garage. I am an advanced player. I've played for 6 years, and I have almost every single Ultra in the garage. Now, if you are watching from a different standpoint, if you are a new player, for example, maybe the BMW i28 is the best Ultra in your garage. It's the best Ultra front-wheel drive car in your garage. And I get that, every car will have its day, and the beauty of Top Drive is that, at some point and at some stage of your Top Drives career, there is going to be a car that is more useful to you than to other people, okay? But I just want to say a disclaimer one more time. I am judging these cars based off my personal experience and based off an advanced standpoint, okay? I own almost every single car that you see here. Not only do I own them, I have them fully upgraded, and I'm really just speaking from experience. How many cars am I actually using that often, okay? Now, every single car in Top Drives will have its moment. It really just comes down to the fact that if you're going to use it every other day, or if you're going to use it every other 4 years. You know what I mean? Every other half decade. There are some cars in here where, yeah, I've probably used it once or twice, but maybe I've owned it for over 2,000 days and I've only used it once or twice. You know what I mean? So again, it's a personal opinion. I always get scrutinized when I make these kind of videos, so I just want to say it is a personal opinion. I will throw in some times as well, just to give you guys a little bit more unbiased insight, but this is a personal opinion. Anyway, with that being said, it's a massive pack. I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can, so let's get into it. The Alfa Romeo Mito GTA is a frequent provider. Main reason being, it's got a low 0 to 60 and it handles okay. It's very lightweight for a low RQ. Next up is the Aston Martin Repeat Bertone Jet 2+2, and this is an interesting one. I'm also going to put in frequent provider. I might move things around later on in the video, but for now I'm putting these two cars in frequent provider. The Aston Martin Repeat Bertone Jet is interesting in a sense where most of the Aston Martins are just about the same. They are your coupes, and they all kind of compete against each other, but your Aston Martin Repeat Bertone Jet is kind of like the black sheep of the family. You know what I mean? It's an estate. It's something different, and it brings something different to the table, and it competes competes with different cars, but it still brings that Aston Martin like coupe-ish performance, right? So it handles all right. It's got a really high top speed. The 0 to 60 is okay. Obviously, the MRI isn't anything great, but it is a decent all-rounder, and it is the average like mid-range ultra level of 58. So I don't think it's overrated or underrated. I think it is where it should be as an average car. Moving on is the Audi A1 Quattro, and I'm also gonna give this pernicious ulcer. I'm gonna give both Audis pernicious ulcer. Yeah, shoot me if you want. I know that they're RQ64s. They can get 90 handling. I just don't tend to use them at all. Just four-wheel drive medium ground clearance cars will always just have a handicap, in my opinion. I just tend to use them a lot less. Now let's talk about the rest of the Audis. The Audi S6 Avant, I'm gonna put it in pernicious ulcer for now. And everything else is just gonna go under hot garbage. I just don't have the time for this, bro. It's just whatever, dude. I don't remember the last time I used any of them. I think the last time I used the Audi S3 was when I was forced to use it in like an Audi required World Expo challenge of like, I want to say like 8 months ago, maybe. I can't even remember what the prize was anymore. BMW 128, I mean, handles well, right? It handles as well as the RQ64 as one. And the only trade-off is that it's front-wheel drive compared to the Audi's four-wheel drive, and also the Audis, I guess have a slightly lower 0 to 60, but it's actually kind of crazy to see how four-wheel drive boosts the RQ that much. Yes, they're also medium ground clearance, but they're all medium ground clearance if I remember correctly. There's so many cars here. There's literally 114 cars or something like that. Anyway, this is a good time, before I get back to the rest of the outro, to actually show you some of the times as well. So, first one I want to show are basically your performance tire rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive estates. Nothing too special over here. The Mercedes-Benz to start things off, the Mountain being just the way better car, obviously makes sense because it handles better. The Magnum comes next. Not a lot of times for this. I'll probably put in 323. There you go, a little bit more times. It's the best car for the fast circuit, being 1 RQ more than the Mercedes-Benz. Then with the Chrysler, which doesn't really make much of an impact. You're still getting most of the value from the Focus. Moving on to the Rapide, as you can see, the Rapide becomes the next best thing besides slalom tests, rightly so. Then with the Jaguar XFRS, which is also medium ground clearance. I know that some are medium and some are low, but I'm putting everything together because there's already a pretty small niche. And yeah, the Aston Martin still is your, top performer. And then we put in the C63 being the best car there, but the Ford Focus ST Monsoon is still the best car for the slalom, which is something really interesting to think about. Another one that I want to show you are all these useless Audis, basically. These are your four-wheel drive estates. We started with the Subaru Legacy GTB, starting us off, putting in the S6 Avant, which, they kind of trade blows. Well, not really trade blows, it's kind of like an 80-20. Moving on to the S2 Avant, okay, yes, all right, slightly better car. Then you bring in the Volvo. So the Volvo is kind of like the car to own for the lower range four-wheel drive estates, in my opinion. It beats cars below it. It beats cars above it. It's better than the Subaru Legacy as well. I mean, it's a one-trick pony, the Legacy, which is like the MRA Subaru car, which isn't saying much, but I guess it's because of the fast circuit. Moving on, we have the Volvo V70. This becomes like the next best thing, and it stays the best thing for like the next 10 cars. The Subaru can't beat the Volvo. The Vauxhall can't beat the Volvo. The Subaru Legacy cannot beat the Volvo, and the Audi. Finally, the next car to actually take wins off the Volvo. 2 RQs apart. Still kind of trading blows, though. It's not the best car for the fast circuit, losing to the Subaru Legacy of all cars, of all brands, losing to the Volvo to Car Park G-Force and Slalom. Then we move on to the Legacy 2.5, being worse than the Audi, so that's actually worse. Then we have the Subaru Legacy Touring, which becomes the next best car, and rightly so. It's 64 compared to the 61s and below after it. And then we have the Audi S6 Avant, which becomes, I guess, the best in its four-wheel drive niche, and that's kind of about it. Now, moving on to the last thing I want to show. This is a big one. This is basically all the hatchbacks, which we'll get into in a bit. We have the Pulsar, and then we move on to the Megane, and the Megane is basically just going to stay the best car for the longest part because the Megane is low ground clearance, and the rest of the cars that we're going to be seeing are medium ground clearance. But for the most part, these cars are going to be competing together, whether it's medium or low or something like that. So I'm just going to put everything together. The Vauxhall Opel becomes the next best thing after the Megane, and it stays the next best thing for about like literally I think the next 10 best cars. Even better than the Hyundai i30N Performance, aside from twisty circuit and the fast circuits. Better than the Mini, better than the Civic, which is huge. And then we have the Megane. Well, the Megane, this is the car that you kind of want for the medium ground clearance front wheel drive. And then moving on to the Ford Focus ST, the Ford Focus RS, the Megane, the next Megane. This is the one that you really want for the medium ground clearance. You got the John Cooper Works, and then you have the Ford Escort, Ford or Focus, sorry. And then I can put in City if you want to see what the times look like as well. The best belong to the Magon, and then the Focus being the small. Some other outliers, I guess, would be, like I said, the R26. So yeah, if you want to see some of those times, that's basically how it works. Now let's get back into this really fat tier list, okay? So hopefully those times kind of swayed your opinion towards whether you think a car is good or not. So anyway, back to my opinion. The Audi S6 Avant. So did we learn anything from this being one of the better saloon four-wheel drives? Maybe a little bit. I'll move it up to frequent provider for now. BMW i30 or 130i. Again, just all of these cars are just a bit of a waste of time. I don't really care putting them anywhere. The Chrysler, though, I would actually put it in frequent provider, mainly because it has that Chrysler niche where there are not a lot of performance tire Chryslers with medium ground clearance. So it has that niche. And because of that, it actually is useful in Chrysler events. I will give it that. The Dodge Magnum goes into, yeah. Ford Escort, not too bad. It handles pretty well. I'm going to put it in frequent provider. The Focus RS, I'll put it in pernicious. The Ford Focus RS 500 is an interesting one. Do I want to put it in daily driver? It is a bit of a one-trick pony now. Ever since the addition of the John Cooper Works, where is that beautiful car? The Focus is kind of just your medium ground clearance thing. That's it. But then you also have cars like the Magon, which are more versatile, because yeah, the Focus really only has city streets small to its name. Magon with the medium, and even some of the twisty stuff as well. I'll put the Focus in RS 500. I think I don't want to be too harsh to it. It's only losing to the best of the best in my opinion. So daily driver is a decent place to put it. ST is alright just because it handles, you know, really well. The Focus ST though, the newer one that kind of just reminds me of a Puma. Yeah, daily driver. I use it a lot. Also boosted because it is World Expo, right? So that car has probably won us a few Tri-Series prize cars and a few carbon fibers here and there as well. ST Estate Mountain, as you can see, it was pretty good in the comparison. It hit above its weight. I think it's only fair to put it in daily driver. The FPV GS Ute. Again, this is a car that I've just not seen much action of. I'm gonna put it in pernicious also. I've not had a lot of experience with it. The Sierra RS 500 is hot garbage. The Holden is hot garbage. The Commodore, I think I've seen it like 1-2 times, but it hasn't really made much of an impact in my opinion. That's from my own experience. Then we move on to every single Ute. Now, the Utes are pretty, you know, interesting. Like basically the best one is the one that I use the most. And then everything else I just don't use, but they're not that bad. It's just that, well, actually, I'll put these two together. They're not that bad. It's just that, you know, they're medium ground clearance and they handle pretty well. They're relatively low 0 to 60s, but I don't use them that often. But the Ute niche or the pickup niche is smaller than every other, I guess, body type. I mean, mainly saloons and coupes and convertibles and hatchbacks. So, you know, it is a bit more niche. It gets, and the best of the best get a little bit more limelight, I guess. The Honda Civic Type R, I mean, it's daily driver, urging under Kaiser in my opinion, mainly because of how versatile it is and how cheap it is to use. And then we have the i30N Performance. Again, we saw in the comparison, it actually isn't that amazing. I mean, it loses to the Opel OPC Extreme. And where is the Opel OPC Extreme? Oh, here it is. So I think it's only fair to put it under Kaiser. The thing is, though, I use the Hyundai i30N so much more than the Opel OPC Extreme. And again, it's something that I really wish I didn't need to factor into these kind of videos. But if you truly are World Expo or above, you get like 80% more use. It just is what it is. You literally get 80% more use if you came from World Expo or any update that came after World Expo. I can promise you right now, I have used this car so many damn times, right? The OPC, I only use it in clubs nowadays, even though the OPC Extreme is literally the better car. Now, moving on, the Jaguar XFR S Sport Brake, I'm gonna give that daily driver, kind of a very high daily driver. A part of me actually wants to push it up to Dirk Kaiser because over my 6 years of playing this game, that is one of the few cars that I really rely on. It's also medium ground clearance and has a low 0 to 60 and a decent MRI with a high top speed. So it is very versatile. It's just like the best in its niche, you know, like it's not like a one-trick pony. It is more of a jack of all trades, but it is one of the better jack of all trades, which kind of wants me to put it into a Kaiser. I'll think about that car. Moving on to the Lancias. Very simple. It's just the Delta Integrale the second, and then everything else is kind of just okay. Like, I don't think any of the Lancia Deltas are actually bad. Like, I think they're all pretty damn good. They're medium, they handle well, four-wheel drive, etc., etc. They're also from, you know, the 80s and the 90s. Same with the Familia Sport, not too bad. Give it for a provider. It's pretty useful. The AMG C63, I'm gonna give that daily driver. Again, along with the Jaguar, kind of want to put it into a Kaiser, being one of the best estates in the game, or I guess one of the best, or being the best estate ultra in the game. I'll think about those two. I might move them later on in the video. Like I said, very big pack. I want to get through this as quickly as I can. We're still going through the freaking ultra rares, man. C55 AMG Estate, never use it. Mini Cooper, never use it. Never use that. But that thing is a little bit better. It handles a little bit. I mean, it has a lower 0 to 60. Actually, these two I'm gonna put finishes also. Nissan Micra is a freaking provider in my opinion. Pulsar, I used to use it a lot during JPT, and then since then, just never seen it again. It is pretty alright, but I think as a 62 is a bit overrated, so I'm gonna put it in pernicious also. Pulsar Nismo is pretty good. I'll put it in daily driver. Peugeot 205, again, it's just part of a niche that is really, really small. There are barely any French cars in the game. I think French ultra rares, there's literally like a tiny ass pool of them. And you know, being four-wheel drive, being medium ground clearance, not many French cars can emulate what the Peugeot 205 brings to the table, to be honest. Search up medium ground clearance, performance tires, French ultra rares. I think this is like one of the few ones. With four-wheel drive, when you add in four-wheel drive, I'm pretty sure that's the only one actually. So yeah, it's kind of just standing on the perch by itself. Moving on, 308 GTI, I'm gonna give it like freaking provider. I think most French cars nowadays are pretty useful, because I think that's mainly due to the fact that there are not a lot of French ultra rares. So I just always end up using the same ones. Clio RS 1.6, not too bad. I'll give it freaking provider. And the Megane, I'm actually going to give that to Kaiser. It is a very, very useful front-wheel drive car. Super cheap. 97 handling, very, very good. The Megane R26 as well. I kind of want to give it to Kaiser. It is a slightly worse version of the Megane 275 Trophy, but I do believe that there is enough of an RQ difference between both cars where I feel like they don't really need to compete that closely against each other anymore. So I'm gonna give them to Kaiser. I do feel in a good mood today, so I'm actually gonna bring the Jaguar and the Merc up as well. Then moving on to Legacy, again, hog garbage. This one, it's got the fast circuit and the fast circuit alone, but honestly, it's not saying much. It's really only good in like the Subaru niche. 2.5, same thing. The Blitzen, I'm gonna give it just all pernicious. Also, the GTB is hot garbage. The Legacy Touring, again, I mean, it is the best car there, but it is also so much more expensive compared to its competition. Yada yada yada. Again, just cars that you won't use that often. Vauxhall GTC VXR, one of the few ultra rares where I actually don't have maxed even, because I just never need to use it. The Insignia VXR, this thing was freaking epic at one point, dude. It's stupid. Again, the only time I actually think that car is useful is if it's Vauxhall in clubs, which happens once every 3 months. So there's not much of a point keeping it around. The Maloo, it's the best utes. I'm gonna put it into Kaiser. And the Golf R32 hot garbage, sure, because it's a Volkswagen. You can roast me on that. I do not like Volkswagens, but I will say right now, the Golf GTI W12 is the Kaiser. Okay, like that is actually really good. I will not get away with putting that in hot garbage. I will get roasted until the end of my life. So I will put that into Kaiser. It is worthy. But the R32, genuinely, I just can't. I don't need it. It's a car that's been in the game since German Renaissance, I think, and I've never had it. I never used it once, and I never needed to use it once. The Volvos are alright. The Volvos are alright. I'll give them a freaking provider. Okay, woo! Moving on to Epics. Gonna be a lot of hot garbage here, mainly because of the tax of them being epic and a lot more expensive to use, and you don't want to spend that much, resources on an epic that is only gonna barely win against a high or a mid-tier ultra rare. Sometimes they even lose to high-tier ultra rares. So let's start with the Audis. Oh man, okay, let's just speed. I'll go with the Beamers too, sure. 74, 69, 67, four-wheel drive performance. Actually, I don't think any any of the other cars from Audi and BMW deserve to be hot garbage. So let us continue. Actually, the S4 doesn't deserve to be down here. I think I was just getting in the high of it. The S4 is okay. The S3 is actually okay as well. I mean, you know, okay as in like not completely terrible and useless, but still bad. So let us continue. The R6 Avant. I have this fully upgraded for some kind of final, and I have used it a couple of times just because the fact is it's one of the better estates. The RS3 Sportback, I gotta say, is a car that I try to not use as much as I can. I just do not like it at all. It's so bad. It just loses everything. I don't know why. Like, it just doesn't win anything for me. It's like the most expensive RQ Saber you will ever find in the hatchback niche. I hate it so much. I have it maxed. Like, I hate the car. Oh, whatever, dude. It's pretty just also speaking from my own experience. The RS3 Sportback is a car that I don't have much experience with. I'll put it in frequent provider just because it's got a low 0 to 60. The RS4 Avant as well. One of the best, the highest RQ estates in the game with 4-wheel drive. I'm gonna give it freaking provider. None of those cars have impressed me enough for me to put it in a tier that's actually good, in my opinion. Then we can move on to the BMWs. I mean, most of these are just gonna be pernicious also, to be honest. You're not gonna be using these too often, but you know, like, they will have their day. I can definitely see that they will have their day, but yeah, not today. The Cadillac CTS-V, if I believe correctly, I think it still has MRI. I don't think it got an MRI in there. Let me know if I'm wrong. Again, I'm dealing with 114 cars, and each car has multiple stats. You can only imagine what is going on in my head, and that's why the easiest thing is to just speak from experience. The Sidewinder, dude, this thing honestly is Der Kaiser. The main reason is because it literally still wins me dailies. I mean, like, first place dailies. This and the Maloo, where's this thing, like the green, like these two, every time there's like a performance, not a performance, every time there's a dry event that uses and utilizes pickups, those two save my butt all the time. I have to put them in Der Kaiser. They are the best in their niche. The Ford Focus RS is really good. I'm gonna give that Der Kaiser as well. It's just so versatile. All right, moving on to hot garbage. AMG A45, dude. I've owned that car, and I'll be honest, like in the game, and yeah, it's so bad, dude. It's so bad. Though the Evolution actually isn't that bad. It's for an RQ68. It actually hits way above its weight. So that's a car that I actually tend to use a lot. Also, it came after World Expo, so it has that going for it. The John Cooper Clubman doesn't look like a bad car. It's 90 handling and 4-wheel drive and medium, but again, like the BMWs, they're kind of just alright. I've never needed the chance to use them. The Taycans, in my opinion, are just okay. They're not terrible, but I don't use them that much. The best one is the white Taycan, which isn't even in here. I get that the Taycan 4S, I believe, is medium ground clearance, but if you're working that high with Epic RQ, then the car that you want is the Cosworth, and that's definitely going into Der Kaiser. Moving on to the Maxi Turbo, again, for an RQ67, I think it brings a lot to the table. Also, it being, you know, French, and then all French cars, so the competition is really small. So being the best, kind of is easier to be, I guess. The Subaru Impreza W. Oh god, okay, the Subarus, trash. This one's a little bit better just because 87 handling is impressive. Trash. Oh yes, the Polestar. Oh no, where did it go? Oh god, there's so many cars in here. Polestar goes up to Der Kaiser for sure. And then the V60 is all right. But the 4.80 to 60 is weighing it down. I'm actually going to bring it down. And then the V60 T8 is okay. This one's all right. Yeah, frequent provider. Again, that car is actually the definition of okay. I've never seen the Volvo V60 impress me, but like it's not bad. Like I've seen it being used many times, but it isn't a car that I'm particularly afraid of. Moving on to legendaries now. Trash. The 308R is kind of like a pernicious ulcer. The thing is, I'm kind of judging most of these legendaries from like a 1-star standpoint. One thing I also did realize is, where is the Taycan? The Taycan is not here. Well, guys, envision this. Envision the Taycan being here, because that literally is the best car in this entire pack, but for some reason, it did not upload. I definitely saved it, but it did not upload. But yeah, just imagine. Just imagine that the Taycan, the legendary Taycan, the RQ91 or whatever it is, 88 or something. Just imagine. Okay, imagine it's here. It's the best car that you can unpack. It's really good. The Hyundai, I mean, again, it's got that new update tax, I guess, or anti-tax. It's got that buff, right? And we've been seeing this a lot. And to be fair, I believe it's really light and it handles really, really well. So I'll give it daily driver. It's also 4-wheel drive and performance tires with, really good handling. Then we have the two, oh god, I guess we'll just put them here. I just never see them, honestly. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna be it, dude. It's really not that good of a pack. Yeah, I mean, I know you want to compete for it. I know that there are some really good rewards, but have a think, man. This pack is a lot. It's over 100 cars. It's like 114 cars, and most of these cars are gonna have not only no impact in the 100 race event, but they're gonna have no impact outside of the event, and they'll have no impact in like the next 100 events after that as well. Again, there will be a time where I know people will come to me and be like, oh, look at this RS4, it's actually really useful in something now. Yes, it will have its day 5 years from now or something, compared to, like a mini John Cooper works. Anytime it's front wheel drive in clubs, I'm already using it. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. I know this was a lot of information, so do take this with a grain of salt. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe, wash your hands, and bless them out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies. They so fine. Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies. They so fine. Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville Atlantic. Blonde hair, don't care, look like Leslie Brooks. Pin up girls everywhere with the drop that look. Swing it side to side as we slow dance to the night. When I'll hold your perfect hand and take you out just for a ride. We'll share milkshakes at the diner.